Welcome everybody to the, oh boy, I got background music, 1 second. All right. You like that, Crack Drafter? Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. Hopefully the audio is okay now. I don't hear an echo, so we should be good. Yeah, man, we got some James Taylor Mexico. It was between that or Toby Keith and stays in Mexico, and Jacob voted against it. So maybe we'll close with that, depending on how much tilted Orange Man is when he doesn't win another giveaway. So before we get rolling, again, it's myself, Fred Kachik, Drew Matthews, and I am joined by Jacob, JK Ray ASU. We'll be previewing the WGC Mexico Championship, our final look through. Obviously, with the Fantasy Golf Bag stats for the European Tour and the PGA Tour, we're going to look through all that. We have some ownership projections, obviously. We'll look at the weather. We'll just touch on it. Looks like there might be some rain on Friday. And then, let's see. That's pretty much it. If you are watching on YouTube or Periscope/Twitter, you can find the chat, which is where you'll see the giveaways at the end of the show for the t-shirts, the swag bags, the golf balls, etc. That'll all be on Twitch. So if you do see guys, typing in a keyword on chat, that is on Twitch. If you're on Periscope or YouTube, you will not catch it. So check us out on Twitch, and you can interact with the full crew that's joined us here, and you can ask your questions. Plenty of sharp people in chat. So get all that out of the way. Man, it's been a long week already. And we got no cut, so it should be an easier week going through Friday. But Jacob, how's everything going for you, man?
It's going good, Drew. Today, this week in general has been pretty crazy. So glad to be able to, as our dear friend Chris Ferreter says, glad to chop it up with you and talk a little WGC Mexico. I was a little intrigued by the field size with 20 max. This is my first sort of dive into a limited field with 20 max. So I was struggling initially a little bit with how big my player pool should be, if I adjusted any or anything of that nature. So curious to see what your thoughts are on that, but overall excited to jump in and just chat some golf and get everybody ready.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a limited field. I got my article up, and I saw, who was that? Rap, I think, was asking about the AK range. So I kind of put a note in there. Rap, I think I saw you in chat, but for those who also are curious, the AK range is pretty much wide open for me in tournaments. Like, it's a spot you're going to have exposure to several guys. The only two that I cut out was Spieth and Kuchar. So I listed the guys I was most interested in like single entry and, you could say cash if you're playing cash, 3 max, etc. But in tournaments and like full player pool, the whole AK range is wide open. So a couple extra stragglers that I have down in the 6K range, not a ton of punts. You kind of come into these weeks and you're hoping you find a really terribly priced 6.2 or 6.4K guy, maybe even 6K on the dot. That no one else is going to be on due to European Tour stats, Asian Tour, Japan Tour, whatever. There really hasn't been one. So we can probably start down there and work our way up. I'm going to pull up the weather so we can look at that when we get up to like the 8K range.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I got a couple guys that I'll mention, and obviously this week's podcast was unique. We had myself and Chris Ferreter, so again, cheers to Chris Ferreter for filling in for Axis. But what are your overall thoughts for lineup construction and the value range in general? The 6Ks, initially you can go down there and you start thinking a lot can work with lineups, but then you look down at the history and it gets so top heavy on Sunday. You kind of got to temper your expectations a bit. So I kind of limited probably to 3 or 4 guys down there. So I'm curious your take on any severe punts or your values in general.
Yeah, so I think for the most part, it's my ideas behind it are in line, I think, with what everyone else will go. I do have some interest in some guys that maybe haven't really shown it, and it might just be on pedigree alone. Matt Wallace, I don't have a problem sprinkling like 10% in 20 max or something, just 1 or 2 lineups just to see if, we know the type of player that he is. He's certainly not on the greatest run right now, but, I don't have any issues putting him in a lineup or 2. And then I'm curious to see some ownership on a few of these guys. I've heard Ryan Fox talked about a little bit. Um, Obviously, Ortiz is down there. There are a few other 6K guys that I can definitely get behind that I was surprised to see at that price, to be honest with you. So I think that you can definitely go stars and scrubs. It might be the most viable. I think balanced in this case would be what I went with had I played cash this week. Like you, I'm holding off on cash, and I might try and throw a few balanced lineups in my 20 max, but for my single entry and sort of main lineup, I will probably start with one of JT, DJ, or Rory, and then maybe sprinkle in if I can squeeze two 9K guys, and then drop down into the sevens a little bit. But overall, I think it's pretty much the same build that most will be going with. I'll obviously try and differentiate a little bit on my end, but yeah, for the most part, it looks to be a pretty straightforward week.
Yeah, for the most part, I can't back the getting behind Matt Wallace this week. Hopefully, he does draw some ownership just off the name. No, I'm just out.
Okay.
I don't see how he can really burn me. As bad as he's been playing, I could see, even if he's like 3% owned, I don't need to leverage that at all. The chances of him beating me is probably pretty slim compared to guys around him like Carlos Ortiz. I do like Ryan Fox. You kind of mentioned him. So I can transition really fast and pull this up. So this is the Euro rolling stats, and we have the PGA Tours guys mixed in here. So of course you can find all this as well as the EAP data, the strokes gained snapshot. You can see Ryan Fox in the last 5 tournaments. He's 88th percentile off the tee, 77th percentile approach, 90th percentile strokes gained tee to green, and he's 6,400. Zach Murray has been mostly on the Asian and Europe and the Japan tour, so I don't put a lot of weight into his field strengths. But Ryan Fox has been, a top 200 player in the world for the last 5 years, very consistent, and he did see it last year. So I have interest in Ryan Fox at 6,400. He's probably he's probably the lowest punt that I'm going to go down this week. I was a little bit interested in MLV, Michael Lorenzo Vera, but his last couple finishes weren't good. When you look through the rolling stats for the European Tour, he's taken a dip a bit off of on approach. So he's 62nd percentile on approach. So for me, I'm going down to Ryan Fox, and that's probably as low as I go. I'm not going to build 150 lineups this week. It's one of those weeks where, with the limited field, you can kind of get excited that the player pool's already shrunk for you, and it's a strong field. I'm glad it was a strong field last week, too, because that probably helps. If we were jumping straight into it this week off of another weak field, and, it feels great to pay up for DJ, Rory, JT all in the same field, it probably would have got a little more damage come Sunday. So for me, I'm really interested in Ryan Fox. I'll try to monitor the chat. I saw Workacut mention Lee Westwood. I do have some interest in Lee Westwood. We've seen him play 2 out of the 3 years here. He's finished 28th in 2017 and 33rd last year. And he has a win about a month and a half ago over on the European Tour. Granted, it's been kind of hit or miss around that finish. He's been playing more consistent for sure. His stats look fine. So I do have a sprinkle of him. He's just, at a price where there's easier pivots for me to go up or down. So he's more price sensitive, I think, at 6,900. Ryan Fox at 6,400 is an easier one for me to feel confident with 4 guaranteed rounds as well. He's like the Adam Long this week, I guess.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always end well, but you got a shot. Looking through the rest of the 6K range, there wasn't a ton, man. I was like really, I guess I've seen some people talk up Munoz. I think you do like Munoz for the most part in general. Carlos Ortiz, I do like. I have him. Lanto Griffin, I'm playing. And then I've seen EVR get talked up. I'm not going to play any EVR. He hasn't been playing as well consistently, and I think he's going to get more ownership than he deserves at that price. So there's guys down here, though, that certainly can pop. Like we've seen Justin Harding pop from time to time. But again, come Sunday, usually, in my article, I listed out the top 3 finishers from the last 3 years, and it was like 7-1, 11-1, 13-1, 20-1, 7-1. You could probably squeeze in a top 15, but you're spreading yourself thin if you really start taking pieces of Christian Bezudinate, Matthias Schwab, like a lot of guys that have good form, and they're obviously playing here for a reason. But I'm trying to be pretty disciplined with just picking out 2 guys that I really like, and then sprinkling in just a handful of others at low ownership, and Matt Wallace is not one of them.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I think it's Bezudenhout, by the way, maybe.
Yeah, you're closer.
Closer.
I'm halfway through this bottle, so.
That still doesn't mean I'm going to play him, but.
Rap says, of your 2 strategies in the article, do you have a preference for single entry? The strategies in the article I think you're referring to are the groups, and it's not really a strategy. It's just a way to build lineups, unless I need to go back and reread a specific strategy I did mention. But I think I was referring to the strategy of playing at least 1 stud or at least 2 studs over 9K, something like that. For single entry, neither one is like a preferred strategy. I think that should be overall. Like in single entry, you can build by hand, but for building out lineups, the groups really come in handy with making sure that you're getting one of JT, for me at least, JT, Hideki, Rory, and DJ. So you can certainly build lineups with 2 of those guys. I did a couple of those, and you basically just need, 2 6K guys and a low 7K guy. It's not uncomfortable. So it's just a way for you to ensure that you're getting the exposures that you want when you build out 20 or 50, 100 lineups. Let's see.
Crack said when we get there, Woodland take. He's okay. Puzzling.
I mean, you play him in Showdown, you can't miss, right? You just play him, Showdown day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. He's going to hit one of those, right?
Oh, yeah. He's going to drop a 6 under one of those days.
So there you go. You're set, Crack. Yeah, we could talk about some Woodland. So as you move up into the 7K range, and then after this, we'll touch on the weather. So I just got that pulled up. We'll look at it. Let's see. Scotty Scheffler, I think, is getting close to 20% the last I saw. He was over 15% this morning. Charles Howell III, Kevin Kisner, I think you do like this week quite a bit. Robert McIntyre. So in this range here, there's quite a bit more interest for me. Sung Kang is the one that I don't know if I haven't heard enough about him. But he's the one that he's stood out a lot for us the last couple weeks. And then last week when I went back through the Spectrum data, he's one that I'm more inclined to drop off at 7K with increased ownership. So take that for what it's worth. But like in a normal full field event, 7K Sung Kang, sign me up. But in a limited field like this, and guys are going to gravitate to someone with some good finishes. I think he finished 2nd last week, or top 5 at least.
Yeah.
What did he finish?
He was T2, I believe.
T2, okay. So, and his approach looked great. I mean, he looked great tee to green. So that's probably the one fade that, maybe is an easy put in for most people's list. But for me, I'm just going to count him out. Anybody in this low 7K range, below bin on, we can't trash bin on. So anyone below bin on in the 7K range.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I can definitely get behind some Kisner this week. I actually noticed on the podcast you said you wouldn't be on Kisner, and then he was listed in your article.
Yeah.
And it's all right to switch on a guy midweek, but from day 1 he was a big guy for me. Course history is pretty solid, to be honest.
Especially good for his price. I mean, take that right now.
Yeah, I know Rapp was alluding to a tough day 1 last year, and that's true, but he still finished, T30 or better and finished better than half the field for the entirety of the event. He shows like around some T10 upside, which he did at the first time out here. I think it was T11, which is fine by me for this price. I think that's a pretty crazy price for Kisner. Kisner is just the type of guy that you don't expect anything from him, and then he shows up and is in the final group at the PGA Championship. So I can definitely get behind him. The elevation's going to help him. He showed that he knows how to putt on POA, despite Bermuda being his preferred surface. Had a solid finish at Pebble. I think it was top 30 or so. And just a 7,200. I mean, I think that's a great price for him. I would easily take him over some Scheffler chalk. Scheffler's never seen the course before. Now, granted,
He's
skill
good.
level there, he's really, really good. But I'll easily go. I can go Kisner, even Chill, who's seen the course before. I would probably go Bobby Mack before I go Scheffler in this price range, to be honest with you.
Yeah, off of ownership, and you're doing 20 max. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up another sheet for us. Preview this. You talk about Scheffler really fast. So
yeah.
And not to jump the gun too far because JT's right above him here. We're definitely going to talk about some Justin Thomas this week. But Scotty Scheffler, if you look at his finishes, he has 4 top 7 since the start of the season. He's got those 2 missed cuts. I think it was at the Phoenix, and which he should have played really well, and the Farmers. And then he finished 30th last week. You can see his extended approach numbers. So again, he's right here. 33% of his shots inside of 18 feet. Overall, I mean, 16% gained over half a stroke on approach. I like him quite a bit. And then, like I said, Justin Thomas we're definitely going to get to. But yeah, I have no issue going back to Scheffler. I'm kind of bummed about his price, but it kind of sucks because at 7,100, it's easier for him to fit in, and he's a name that people remember clicking a month ago at 9K. Had he been closer to Sungjae Im's price, which may or may not have been deserved considering Sungjae here in Mexico, but oh man, it kind of sucks that you have to make the decision on ownership. For me, I'm still going to eat it. I'll play some Scotty Scheffler. I think his upside's pretty good at that price, and really the people around him. There's very few I think that could potentially finish in the top 3 out of this group. He's one of them. You mentioned Kisner. I guess he could potentially do it. I have a tough time pulling the trigger on him. I did include him just off of course history. He's one of those, kind of like Snedeker. It seems that he plays well at courses that he likes. I don't know what it is about Mexico. Maybe just the James Taylor song. Toby Keith, who knows? But
he's probably a James Taylor and Toby Keith fan, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and he probably Kenny Chesney goes down there, right? He's probably a Kenny Chesney fan, drinking beer.
He likes all of them.
And he doesn't ever get the Montezuma's revenge because he drinks beer. So
exactly, he doesn't drink water.
He doesn't drink water. He's got Skull and he's got Bud Light or something, Corona maybe down there. So he's good to go. But yeah, I did want to point out that Scheffler, if you look at the EAP data, he still looked really good. And I'm not too concerned. I mean, Corey Connors always looks good, tee to green. But losing 0.35 weighted green in regulation, I'm not too concerned with at Genesis. I mean, the average green in regulation number was like 56%. It's like, that's fine, guys. He's not like, he's not missing a green less than the field average, and it's 80% or something like that. So did want to touch on that. The other one you mentioned, Bobby Mack, I definitely like him. I've kind of tapered my expectations a bit on him. I don't know. Just there's kind of half and half on guys that are playing here for the first time, and I like Bobby Mack a lot. I'm definitely going to play him. But yeah, he was one of those that was an easy one for me to plug in, and then I remembered that, oh yeah, this is a WGC event. Granted, he did finish 6th at the British Open last year in a very strong field. But I have a little bit of hesitation. Still going to play him, but honestly, at the price, when we just talked about Ryan Fox, I like Ryan Fox a lot on his form coming in versus Bobby Mack here.
Yeah. Another guy in this range I can get behind is little Billy Ho at 7,300.
Yeah, he's just hit or miss. Don't hate it. I mean, he's a GPP play for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen his iron turn on, and when that happens, he's a great play. He kind of came out of nowhere at was it Waste Management?
Who's that?
Billy Ho. I'm trying to think of. He hadn't played for a while.
It was Waste Management. He shot 9 under the first day.
Yeah, he T9'd at Waste Management.
Yeah, he shot 80 on Sunday.
Let's see. Played this event last year and T45 in it, so not great. A little worse than halfway, middle of the field, but 7,300. I mean, I feel like he's got more upside than some guys down here. But it might be a sprinkle for me. Same as Wallace, maybe 10%, 15%, 20 max. I don't know.
Yeah, and Ronnie Lee's alluding to Scheffler's high ball striking. Yes, his apex is very high. Got a very high apex.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to make sure I'm staying up with the chat. And again, if you're on YouTube or Periscope, you can find us on Twitch, and that's where all the guys are blasting out in the chat for Will It Takes, Sung J Takes. We're about to get there. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a peek at the weather. Hopefully you can still hear me. Actually, I haven't looked at this slide in a while, so hopefully you can still hear me and Jacob. If you hear silence for a while, I guess it doesn't matter because you wouldn't hear me, but SOS. So this is Mexico City. Looking on Thursday, so we got a little bit, actually looks very similar. Look, Friday. Yeah, so it's pretty much calm. I'm not sure where I saw the rain.
Yeah, it looks mild.
Yeah, it's sub 7 miles per hour wind on Friday, and it's essentially dead calm on Thursday. So disregard the rain take. I don't know where I saw that. Probably in the middle of the night. It's probably how you get sick.
Probably.
Yeah, my bad, Crack Drafter. There's no rain. Don't know where I saw that. Disregard.
Weather's great. Move on.
So let's go ahead and hop up to the high 7K range and the 8K range. We'll group them all together because honestly, I don't have a ton of interest. Answer's the only one in the high sevens that I like. I kind of glossed over, I guess, the mid-range. I don't know if you have any strong takes, but Victor Perez is probably my favorite Euro there. If you look at his European Tour stats we have, he's been phenomenal, and his finishes kind of back it up. So it kind of, in my opinion, when you look at these WGC fields with the European Tour players, obviously we have the stats to show like how someone's getting to their strokes gained, field differential, whether it's ball striking, around the green, putting, etc. You kind of hope for, which is why I'm not playing any Christian Bez, guys that look like they've had really good finishes. We can actually see how they finished statistically. And on a course like this, where ball striking is obviously paramount, I feel like that's the edge that we gain. Honestly, Perez has been playing great, so I don't think he's any type of sleeper. But I can confirm when you look through his rolling stats for the European Tour, they look great. He just behind. You just look at the last couple of events, man. There's very few that have played better than him in any event, tee to green. So, let's see the last guy in this top range. So I mentioned Answer, and then Lowry at 7,800. He's actually, if you look through his stats, been very, very good. So Lowry would probably be my last guy to mention in this range. So I can kind of pull up real fast.
Drew, are you in Mexico or Puerto Rico right now?
It should be Mexico. I Googled it.
Okay, good. Very good.
Yep. So Shane Lowry, his last two events, he played in Saudi and Dubai. He gained 2.3 strokes tee to green in Saudi and 1.9 in Dubai, which was brutal weather. You can also look at his off the tee, gained half a stroke in 0.8, and then also at approach, gained 1.5 almost in 0.5. Like, he's been playing really well, and he might be the lowest owned of this bunch, to be honest, just because people avoid him. If you don't see him play over the States in a 62nd place finish last year, probably scares people off. So he's slowly risen on my scale of like one of my favorite tournament options, just because I just feel like everyone skips over guys they haven't seen in the app in a while. Like, if you haven't seen a player's name in the player pool in PGA DFS for the average player in the last month or two, you skip over him. And I think that's why Scotty Scheffler gets a lot of ownership, because they scroll down and then they all of a sudden remember, wow, Scotty Scheffler, I remember clicking him when he was the 15th name. Now he's the 50th name or whatever he is. So with Shane Lowry, same with Victor Perez, hopefully just them not showing up in the last couple weeks is enough for people to kind of skip over them.
Yeah. I can definitely get by that. I was more leaning like 7 say RCB in this range.
He's fun too. Yeah, RCB is easy cash play.
Yeah.
So he's the safest one. Again, Shane Lowry is a GPP option. He's playing good. I like the leverage. I do like someone, even if they didn't play well last year, them seeing the course for the first time and coming back is a positive in my mind. But yeah, if you're going to play any type of single entry, it would be RCB before Lowry. But anything above that, I would start to throw in more and more Lowry.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Any of your thoughts in there? I kind of glossed over Answer. I don't love it, but I'm going to play him. Don't really like the way he played the last 2 weeks, I think it was, but he's still fine in tournaments. You can't really go wrong with a 4-day Abraham Answer, I don't think.
Yeah, Answer is tough for me also. I had him in my main last week, and I played actually JT and Answer in the same lineup last week. Was honestly surprised for JT to be the one that burned me. I will say, though, I'm more readily, to go back to JT than I am to Answer this week. Despite this being a home course for Answer, got a marquee group for him, and I feel like Answer in general just gets off to a slow start. And 7,900. Yeah. I think I'd be more apt to spend up a couple hundred or drop down a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I like Answer, but this might be the week I back off of him just a little bit.
Yeah, that's totally fair. We can jump up a little bit. The one I did want to, you talk about him getting off to a slow start. Most of his last couple events where going back to the fall, so the HSBC Champions, the Mayakoba, Australian Open, Sony Open, American Express, and the Saudi, which he went over there and played pretty well. It's kind of surprising. But he went 4th place, 8th place, 33rd, 38th, 2nd, 6th, and then a 43rd last week. He always opened with his highest score opening was 69 during that stretch. He had a 72nd at Australian Open. He finished 33rd. So his best finishes, he always opened with a 69 or 68. So he can certainly open fine. I don't have an issue with that. But he's been playing well. His green and regulation numbers look good. Like I said, last week was kind of like a shocker, but it was really just Thursday if you look at it. Like I could go pull up our Spectrum data and double check, but his 76 in round one, is kind of in line with what JT shot. JT, I think, hit 27% greens in regulation, which is very fluky. And then Answer bounced back with a 67, 70, 71. So, honestly, I don't know what his ownership's going to be at. I know we had him kind of in the mid-teens, I think, low teens. Maybe I can pull it up from the other side, too. Yeah. Yeah, so I see him at 15%. Interesting.
Answer was 9.
Okay. So
9 for us.
Yep. We'll see where it comes in at. Yeah, I don't mind Answer. Actually, that's an interesting bounce back from a 76 on Thursday. So you mentioned some guys just above him. So let's go ahead and get through the 8K range. Then we'll try to finish up in the 8s. Yeah, we're just in 30 minutes. So, and then have to try to get Orange Man a giveaway. It's like my own life goal to give back to the less privileged. And Orange Man, he's probably got like 3 or 4 shirts now that I think about it, though. People keep giving him shirts, but
from other people.
Yeah, we still got to get you to it. But yeah, hit me with the 8K guys. Like I said in my article, they're all in play for me, so I won't really touch on anyone specifically. If I recall, my primary targets that I touched on, and again, it was viewed in a single entry sense, was Casey, Sergio, Morikawa, and I think that maybe Woodland. I think that was it. So give me your take in this 8K range.
So in the 8Ks, I can easily jump on some Fitzpatrick at an even 8,000. Woodland 8,300. I like a decent bit. I've got some interest in Reed at 8,400. I actually need to look into him just a little bit more. Obviously, Sergio, Casey, 8,700. I'm fine with. I wanted to play Oosthuizen, but his projected ownership is kind of turning me off a little bit. I was honestly surprised to see that many people on him. I mean, he's not really one that has a ton of upside. He's pretty steady, in my opinion. That's why I was
Uh,
surprised to
I
see.
mean, he doesn't play in a ton of events. I can see him having upside in these stronger fields because that's really all he plays in.
Yeah.
It's tough to pull the trigger because you always want to rely on something with some of these guys.
Yeah.
If he hadn't played for a year, you would still rely on his course history and say, okay, well, where did he finish? Did he play well or play poorly his last couple showings? And you could rely on that. If he's didn't play well, but maybe his last two finishes were decent or trending up, you kind of rely on that. It's just he's tough because he doesn't play enough to make you feel great about it. But his three finishes here, he's improved every year. Take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I do think from a ball striking standpoint, he's one of the best options. He's in line with Sergio from what I can tell. From a ball striking standpoint.
Sorry, I'm answering some chat here.
No, you're good. Gary Woodland. So I did remember, was it Crack Drafter asked about, and then, okay, Lou Dog, you mentioned Fitz, Lowry, or Answer. Originally it would have been Fitz. It probably would have been Fitz, Answer, Lowry. Now it's probably Answer, Lowry, Fitz.
Yeah, I just replied that exact same.
Okay, cool. Perfect. We're on the same page.
Yep.
The other question was from Crack Drafter earlier about Woodland. So I don't mind Woodland at all. So he's played here all 3 years, 38th place, 50th place, and 17th place finishes. When we dive into his recent form, I feel like people overreact. That's probably the best word. Overreact to a miscut. So at the Farmers Insurance Open, he opened with 75 and then shot 70, and he missed the cut. He hit 78% of his greens in regulation, 60% of his fairways. Pretty solid. The Phoenix Open wasn't great. I think people expected more, but you still look through his rounds: 70, 67, 69, 72, 71% green in regulation, 55% driving accuracy, which we know that course isn't that demanding. And then when we look a little bit closer at his strokes gain stats, he gained 4.5 strokes at the Waste Management. He gained about a stroke at the Farmers. I think he's playing fine. I have no issue with Gary Woodland. I think he's actually a pretty good value. I think he's pretty steady. I think the course actually sets up really well for him from what I remember when DJ played it last year. And which is really interesting because DJ and Rory play the same style game, but they play in different directions. Woodland's closer to a DJ direction. So I like Woodland quite a bit. Obviously playing here 3 years. It looks like his ceiling is probably top 10, but we've seen him play extremely well and get hot with the putter. So yeah, Woodland at 8,300, I'm totally good with. And like I said, the whole AK range is wide open, man. I've increased exposure to Patrick Reed. No one's talking about him. Still playing Morikawa, even though he's a rookie at this event. Sergio, Paul Casey, even though he's going to be chalk. The only two was Kuchar and Spieth. I can't. Sounds like I'm playing everybody in the 8K range, and I basically am, but I can't play everybody. So those are the two that I excluded.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of chatter about M. They want to know where we stand on M.
I don't think I have any exposure to him, but let me go pull him up.
I don't currently, as it stands. In 20 max, that in. He will not be in my single entry, but in 20 max, so far he has not made my pool. And I wouldn't even say it's related to him being a first timer here.
Yeah, it's not that.
I just think that, I don't know, the miscut last week, I wasn't on him, and that was probably my expectation. I think that he had some middling outings before that, and he just, I don't know. I just think I liked a lot of guys in that same price range that he was at. I believe he was around 8K his last event out, but struggling with the putter quite a bit. And not that would dissuade me from any one person, certainly worth considering, but I just think that there are, at least for this event, I think that there are better options either up or down than going to a first-timer off a miscut who is struggling in various parts of his game.
Yeah, struggling is a strong word. I just think he's not playing great at the moment. and like I said, in a full field event, it's different. Here, you're really looking for. You keep saying upside, but honestly, you look at a guy that's coming in with his form around guys like Answer. I mentioned Lowry. I saw someone mention Snedeker. Like Sungjae of that group is the least interesting to me to pop, and like he doesn't look sexy in a way that hey, he looks great to finish in the top 5. The way he's been playing, it hasn't looked good, and like you said, he's not a good putter in general. He's struggled certainly over time, and his last couple finishes, 36 of the Farmers, Waste Management 34th, and a missed cut last week, kind of going the wrong direction. I think that was his 5th. No, he had a break after the Waste Management. I was thinking that would be like his 6th. It wasn't going to be a reason to not play him, but just a note. So I don't have any interest in Sungjae. He just doesn't do it for me in this range. And I'm already playing so many guys just above him. I just can't play everybody. And honestly, if he finishes 30th, that's not doing much for me. And if he goes and finishes 5th, you could still win a GPP like without that. I mean, you could still get away with it. But I just don't see him like an Answer or a Lowry where he could really burn you if you're on the wrong side of his ownership. So that's my take on Sungjae. Again, everyone is almost in play here, but that's where I'm kind of excluding some guys. Is their lead in form? Is there enough to take me off of them for upside?
Yeah.
All right, let's just hit the 9 and 10K range completely. As I mentioned in the 10K range, guys, it's why no Spieth? Come on, Orange Man. Did you see any of our data? Orange Man, if we could get one of the mods to boot Orange Man. Actually,
where's Nightbot when we need her?
We don't have any mods, Orange Man. If you want to be a mod, you can have that task. Rory McIlroy, DJ, JT, and Hideki. Those are the 4 that I like over 10K. Rahm is going to be my scary fade, unfortunately. And like I said, it is scary. So the 2 that I wanted to mention while we're up here, and then I'll kind of finish off my final thoughts in this 10K range. But let me go ahead and swap over to this one really fast. Crack Drafter will be a mod. Crack Drafter, you have too much work to do playing Showdown every day. I'm surprised you're on this stream. You should be building lineups. So JT, if we look through our extended approach data, most people, he's going to see a miscut. They'll think he's going the wrong direction. In theory, he gained almost a quarter of a stroke on approach per round. Obviously played 2 rounds. But when you start looking through his EAP data, 35% inside of 18 feet, almost 25% of his shots inside of 12 feet for birdie, 50% inside of 24 feet. It looks awesome. So obviously all of our data you use conjunctively with everything. It's not just he hit it really close, let's just play him, or he lost 2 greens in regulation to the field, we can't play him. No, there's always more to it. So I went and looked at Justin Thomas. So this is our historical strokes gain tool. And last week, and you break down round 1 and round 2, approached the green on round 1, lost 1.5 strokes approach. So it doesn't look good. Losing 1.5 strokes for JT is not good. But when we swap it and look at green and regulation, the dude hit less than a third of his greens on Thursday. So that's a big reason why his green and regulation number is so low. His weighted green and regulation number is so low. Then we switch back to round 2. He's back in line with the field average, 61%. I'm not concerned with fairways hit. There was no rough. And you look at strokes gained, he gained over 1.5 strokes approach, 0.4 off the tee. Like, that's the JT that we would be accustomed to. In my mind, that's a huge trend upward versus where you see a Rahm kind of teetering since basically the Farmers Championship, Farmers Open, whatever it is now. JT looks like one of the easier. It's no surprise he's a great player, but I think after a miscut, he's even more incentive for me to plug him into more lineups than a Rory or a DJ, even though I like both of them. So did want to point that out because that's very interesting when you start seeing data, and that's kind of what the Spectrum data intends to do, is it creates a better interpretation of what the data means. So like when you start going step by step through here, sometimes it can be hard to follow, but hopefully that does help with you seeing like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense when you start breaking it down a bit more to see why his stats look that way. He just played really bad Thursday. That's all it was. So yeah, I'll be playing some Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I feel like it might be group speak within our community, but it sounds like a majority of us are all on him for the same reasons.
And he's played well here too, so that helps. I mean, it's not like he finished 60th or something. Finished in second, was it 2 years ago to Phil in the playoff? That's obviously a good sign. Ninth last year and fifth the first year. So there's a lot of good positives, obviously, but hopefully you kind of got to find your angles in some of these. And a miscut last week where people see his stats, they don't look good compared to a Rory, a DJ, etc. Hideki obviously is going to get a ton of ownership. Sign me up for some JT, man.
Yeah. Agree wholeheartedly with that. I can definitely get behind some Xander, I think. I think it's another opportunity like JT. You know, a lot of people are going to harp on his putting, which we noted has not been great of late. But
if I can, or are you going to talk about it?
Well, his gain strokes putting the last 2 rounds.
Thank you. Kudos to Chris Ferrer for figuring that out, or whoever did. But he did mention on the podcast. That was one good takeaway. Shout out to Chris. He gained, I think, 1.5 or 2 strokes on the 3rd round, and then gained more in the 4th. He had probably the 2nd best round on Sunday. He's got good course history. I mean, really, outside of that miscut, his form coming in is pretty crazy, despite his putting not being great. I can definitely jump to Xander. Xander, for the record, lost one. Again, you start breaking it down further than just looking at their summary stats. Shows he lost 1.2 strokes putting for the event. Here, I can hop over. 1.2 strokes putting for the event. He gained 3 strokes approach, 2.5 off the tee. That's great. On POA, obviously you want to look for some trends, but then you hopped to round 3. He gained, like you said, 1.5 putting. Round 4, 1.8 putting. The round 1 and round 2, I don't think they were fluky as much as just bad days. It would be the same way as if he gained 4 strokes putting. It's still semi fluky, I guess, but you can't count on that to continue. And then the same with Friday. So to see him turn it around and his ball striking looked awesome, that's very positive for this week for sure.
And then right below him, Tommy Fleetgoat. Give me all the Tommy. I've got no issues going with him as well. Great course history. Form coming in is solid. I don't think there's any negatives that you can say about him. Maybe that he hasn't won an event, per se.
Yeah.
But, I think he's a great option over the likes of maybe a chalky Oosthuizen. You come up a little bit. DeChambeau I've got a little bit of interest in, but I'll probably keep most of my exposure to Fleetwood, Schauffele. I did get a mention in chat asking about Webb. I am a Webb truther, and his form is not. His course history is not overly impressive at this event. He's played it the last 2 years, 39th, 37th, respectively. Form coming in, obviously, with the win at Waste Management. Was it Waste Management? Yes.
Yeah, he won the Waste Management.
Finau
just sucked.
Anyway, I don't have any issue with Webb. The problem is that, and I think that it was spoken on in chat a little bit, is that a lot of damage on this course you'll see can be done off the tee. Webb historically off the tee that's not where he gains a lot of his strokes from.
I said that.
There you go. I'm shouting out you.
Thank you.
So, but all that being said, I still can stand by some Webb exposure, especially in 20 max. I mean, I can have him in 5 or 6 lineups and not hesitate at all. He's going to come in less than the Xanders, less than the Fleetwoods, obviously less than some of the top guys. So if you want to swerve that way to Webb, then I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Ronnie, I don't have any web. I'm not going down that route. But yeah, I mean, I understand it. He's been playing great, and sometimes you just can't fade the hot hand. But for me, his ownership, it sucks, man. Why can't people be more dumb? Like I don't have ours pulled up. Let me look. So when we first ran it on Tuesday, we had him at 16%, which was plenty enough for me to fade. Now we look at it on some others that transition on Tuesday, on Wednesday morning, and we see him closer to 12. So yeah, I guess, and if I was building 150 lineup, sure, I'll have some exposure to web. You'd probably be dumb not to. But in the lineups that I'm building, I'm not going to go there for him. I do like Adam Scott. Just below him, he's similar ownership, coming off a win. And again, if you look through his EAP data, and not just last week, I mean, if you just look through every single event he tees it up in, he looks great. His one finish here from 3 years ago. I don't know why he doesn't choose to play here after that, but he finished 45th in 2017. So he's seen the course before. He's only got one showing. That doesn't scare me off of him. And then the last one down here that I'll mention, then we'll go to the giveaways. Mr. Bryson DeChambeau. I will, jump ahead. See if he figures something out, man. 56 last year here is not good, but his EAP data was third on the list. Sorry, not third on the list. It was if I go by proximity inside of 24 feet, Bryson is number 2 on the list. Sorry. So yeah, Bryson I think is a good candidate for a bounce back on this golf course. Brooks isn't in the field, so he doesn't have to worry about getting in a fight. We should be, free and clear to play some Bryson. And hopefully this is like a turning point. This is where Bryson really just started playing terrible last year. So hopefully up to this point, he's figured something out. He seems to be playing better. Last week was really consistent. So I do like some Bryson, even with his terrible course history, which is just one event. But Tommy Fleetwood, yeah, I'll concur. It's hard to go wrong with him with his course history. Same with Casey in the same boat. Guys that are just very good ball strikers. You don't know what putting you're going to get from them, but you know the ball striking is going to stay consistent, and you can't really miss out. Like they get to that point of ownership where that really hurts you. If they end up winning it or they end up finishing in the top 5 and you didn't play them at 20% owned or whatever they are, those are the ones that hurt, and they look like they're going to play like they should exceed value at least that much, 20% of the time at their prices. So in this limited field. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't really think I have a ranking of the top guys. My gut was to go to DJ over Rory, but it does seem like I'm going more and more to JT as the week progresses. But I'll have exposure to all 4 of those guys. Yeah. Why can't Fleet win? Fleet plays in all the strong fields, Orange Man. I don't know.
One question I think that we did not answer. It's quite a bit down the chat. 20 max this week, what is your pool looking like in a limited field?
It'd be the same as a full field.
Say 20 to 25-ish?
Yeah. It'd probably be closer to 25, to be honest.
Just spread yourself out a little bit more?
A little bit. I mean, you can be more aggressive in a limited field, but still, if you go look through anyone's lineups from the WGCs that are limited, like some guys, I think it was Osimo last year, he played every single player in the field. Granted, a couple of them were like 2% owned in his 150 builds. But, yeah, for me personally, if you're doing 20 max, yeah, cut it obviously below 30. But if you get to 25, I think that's a good number. As you get closer to 20, you're just taking a little bit higher exposure on some guys. Not the end of the world, just monitor it. But, yeah, that's where I would sit. Those are really easy. 20 lineups sitting that 25 number is easy. It's when you get up to 100 and 150 guys or 150 lineups, it gets a much more difficult to really track your ownerships across 50 or 70 guys, depending on what your player pool looks like. So keep that in mind with golf. Again, was running a video earlier today talking about running the groups. I mentioned that in the article. Running groups of like minimum of 2, minimum of 1, max of 2, etc. And that's one of the things that's super important with GPPs is just monitor your ownership and make sure you're not, getting swept up. Like when I was running it earlier, man, I think I had 70% Justin Harding that kept popping up. And had he been like nested at like 40%, you may not even notice it. Like Like if you just were running up 100 lineups and not even looking at your exposures, all of a sudden you're wondering how you got a guy that finished dead last. Not saying Justin Harding's going to finish dead last, but yeah, you can't just run it blind and hope for the best. Definitely control your exposures. The groups help a lot to make sure you're getting at least one of the studs, maybe two of the studs, and then you're also limiting the cheap guys. Make sure you're not getting too much of one cheap guy. Spread it out, as you go down. So that's pretty much it. I think we can probably transition. We'll keep monitoring the chat. Yeah. And let's see here. So at this point, if you're following us on YouTube or Periscope or on Twitter, you can hop over to the Twitch chat. You can see that rolling right now. We're going to do Spin the Wheel. We'll do it twice tonight. Orange Man, I don't think we can do a raid. The other girl last week was really disappointing, so we got to take a break from that. Didn't help my lineups any. So we'll go ahead and spin the wheel. Again, hop over to twitch.tv/redkitcheek, and then we'll do the giveaways. We'll do 2 of them tonight. Fingers crossed that Orange Man wins something this week. We could all
Drew,
use the karma.
Your background did not transfer to your slide.
I was running behind, guys. I was running behind.
Good effort. A for
FGB hat. So I don't know if I have. Yeah, I do.
Going with the new snapbacks?
Yeah, we go with the new. They're the Richardson flat bills. Thanks to Chris Ferreter for sending those our way. Green and white. Actually,
Love it.
If I have, it looks like black probably, doesn't it? Because I have the green screen still working. But pick me out a keyword. I'm gonna throw that into the old Nightbot, and let's see if we can get a winner.
Oh, I got a good one for you.
Let's see it.
You want me to type it in or just tell you?
I mean, is it bad? Like, just tell me.
No. It's fine. The keyword is going to be Montezuma.
All right, don't type that in yet, guys. Give me a minute to type this thing in. All right, Montezuma. All right, you're good to go, guys. Go ahead and type in Montezuma in chat. I'm gonna even type it in for good karma. Mexico. Crack Driver said Mexico. That's too easy.
Too easy. Come on.
Montezuma.
Hopefully none of your golfers are haunted by it.
I did miss out on Crack Drafter cheered 500 bits through Twitch. So thank you to Crack Drafter. Appreciate that, man.
Crack?
Crack Drafter's just been killing it in Showdown. Can't wait to play Showdown every day this week.
Yeah.
Especially there's no cut. You can't tilt the cut because there is no cut. Just go for it. All right, let's go ahead and run this thing. Let's see. Rap, congratulations, man.
There we go.
Type this in. So rap hat. Good job, man. Orange Man, where you at, man? All right, last one we'll do. Spin the wheel. TaylorMade golf balls. This is a good one. So this is the Project A golf balls. This is the new ones that came out at the end of last year. We'll do 2 sleeves. I gave out 2 sleeves last week. We'll do 2 this week. Then I think we're out.
Let's do it.
You did win it all, man. Your $25 hat is more than enough. You basically doubled your money. All right. The keyword for the TaylorMade golf balls is going to be CBS. Because that's a hot topic.
Oh, it is.
CBS.
Should have made it cost us.
It's too many letters. And then as you guys are typing that in, I had a screen pulled up. Don't forget to, if you're playing Showdown or if you're looking for stats from the prior weeks, you can download the new Fantasy Golf Bag app for iPhone. So it's completely free. Doesn't require premium membership. We do plan, so if you are a premium member at Fantasy Golf Bag, we plan to add a lot of our premium features like the Showdown model into it. So don't be afraid that you're missing out because you're a premium member. But it is free. You can go download that on the App Store, and you'll have access to all the live stats for every single PGA Tour event, including the alternate event for the Puerto Rico Open. So I don't know if they'll have some very nice showdown contests, but, I mean, you could go win $50. Thanks, Ronnie. Arlie Jr. Been working since the end of last year on it. Thought that was really handy to you're out at dinner on a date, you can be putting in lineups and researching, and you don't have to have your laptop. It's great.
There you go.
All right, let's go ahead and roll it.
As you roll it, I'm going to do my weekly premium plug.
Orange Man.
No, he didn't.
Orange Man. And you won golf balls?
Oh. There it is. All right, week's over.
Shut it down. Dude. Yeah, they did. Both tilters. So Rap won and then Orange Man won. I said it. I set the tilt rating up pretty high. Orange Man.
Oh.
Do you even play golf, dude?
Oh, Sean with the troll. He will lose them after 9 holes.
Orange Man.
Oh, man.
He'll probably complain that's not even the thing he wanted to win.
Probably.
Yeah, he wanted the hat. Oh, congrats, man. Yeah, so you can finish off with your spiel. Again, you guys can find the Fantasy Golf Bag app on the App Store for iPhone, iPad, etc. As you can see, you get all the current events. You can go back to the last 3 events when they're available, and then you can obviously build lineups through it as a placeholder. So, Jacob, spill your beans on whatever your hot take is this week that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's just a premium plug. If you guys make sure you check out Axis's screen share, premium members only in the Slack chat. You can find it on the website, the link to it. Axis goes over our rolling stats, our Euro stats, and how he would break down a limited field like this. Great look right now. Don't forget to check that out before you lock your lineups in tomorrow at noon Eastern.
Yeah, he actually did a good job talking through, because we talk up the European guys quite a bit, and there's, like I said, you kind of got to pump the brakes a bit in the stronger fields that a lot of the stats that are weighted obviously towards the European Tour fields. He does a really good job of explaining the leaderboards the last couple of years and guys and how they finished, and then how the stats kind of portray their skill level versus this field. So the strokes gain field differential does help, but he does help you kind of navigate some of those European Tour values that you see this week. So that should be it, guys. Orange Man, congratulations on the on winning a giveaway for the first time in the last 2 seasons. So appreciate everybody tuning into the Fantasy Golf Bag live stream. Good luck this week at the WGC Mexico and the Puerto Rico Open if that's your thing. We'll see you next week for the Honda Classic, and we'll see you for the live stream. I assume the live stream Wednesday night. You're coming down to the DFS Open, right? Are you? You're not leaving until Friday?
Yeah, no, we'll still do live stream. I leave on Friday morning.
Okay, cool. So we'll be back for the live stream on Wednesday night next week. So good luck, everybody. We'll see you then.
See you guys.